G'day there guys, it's your boy I Read Reddit back at it again with some more entitled parent stories. Now sit back, relax and prepare to get mad. I hope you love it. Our first story today was posted by user MxxN-Light, titled, When the Roles Are Reversed. I went out to eat at a new restaurant in town, and the stars for it were 2 stars, but I didn't check why, and I heard the food was cheap, and I went to try it. Here is why there were 2 stars. The owner of the restaurant is the entitled mother, and she had her child there at the time. A nice waitress took my order, and I waited until my appetizers came. I got my appetizer, which was mozzarella sticks, and some snotty hellspawn came over to my part of the bar and started to eat my appetizer. Really, Binge? I just kind of scolded him to stop, and the hellspawn started bawling due to that being my food and him not paying. Well, the entitled mother comes over to me and scoops up her baby like it was the last bits of ice cream in the container. She then starts yelling at me and calling me a binge and that kind of stuff. She then takes away her baby. About 30 minutes or so, my food came, which was some fettuccine alfredo, which I think was microwaved. As I start eating, you can guess what happened. That little hellspawn gets a fork and starts trying to do some Lady and the Tramp crap, although that's a good movie, won't dog that one, and tries to kiss me as I'm eating pasta. Mamma mia, I just put down my fork and push him away, but not aggressively, and just kinda like a nudge instead. Then the mother bolts, no joke, over here and screams at me. Well, that sucks. She finally walks away, and after I finished the side that the child didn't eat, I just left. I didn't even pay. The food wasn't even that good anyway. I mean, at least she could say, I know the owner. Our next story was posted by user Gegan Wind, titled, Entitled Mother Thinks Entitled Dad is Entitled to First Chair a week before the concert, revenge included. Honestly, I feel like a magnet that attracts entitled parents. I had an encounter with one of the most cliche entitled mothers last week, and since I know you'll love reading this, I'll not let you down, hopefully. This is a tragicomedy in 3 acts plus a grand finale, with some revenge mixed in. Sit back with some popcorn, this will be a long one. For some backstory, I'm in concert band and have been for the past 5 years. These bands are very common and every village has its own where I live. I don't know if non-German speaking people are familiar with this concept. It's very traditional with garbs and traditions and whatnot. I'm also playing the flute, first chair, and worked my way up there for the past few years. I'm the oldest one in the section. With these bands, it's really just first come, first serve. There are many super talented players who are forced to sit in the last chair because they joined the band only recently. It's not that bad, and if you ask and people are ready to swap, they usually do. So this year in January, 2 new flutes joined us at the front. We were 3 flutes, all of us had been playing our instrument for a very long time, and we are also much older than the flutists that joined us. We're 17, 18 and 21, while the 2 new flutists are 11 and 12. I knew they would join back in November, and I was heavily against it, since I knew the level from our concert band was simply too high for them. I told our band director and our chairman on multiple occasions that neither me nor my friends will spend our time tutoring them, since we had better things to do, and when we joined the concert band, we had to look after ourselves as well. They both told us that we didn't have to, but that they could not decline the request, and we had to deal with it. The 12-year-old is okay, really. She's doing her best to keep up with us and asks for advice when she needs it. Like, how do you play that? Could you please show me if it's not too much to ask? Since she has the 5th chair, she naturally has a different part than me and my 2 friends, and we're happy to help. She's very shy and knows she can't compete with us, but since she's working hard, I have nothing to say against her. The 11-year-old though, oh boy, she's as arrogant and entitled as it can be. Before even joining concert band, I overheard her saying to one of her friends that she'll naturally get first chair since she's the youngest and deserves that position. After joining, she ended up crying angrily because our band director would not let her even near the first chair, instead giving her the fourth instead. She's bad at playing, and when I said bad, I mean bad. She doesn't give a single crap about how she sounds or what she plays. My friends tell me that they don't hear her at all sometimes, and we even notice that she sometimes just puts her flute up to her mouth but doesn't do anything after that. And when you can hear her play, it's just like the worst sound you'll ever hear. I am very opinionated when it comes to my section, since our band director doesn't pay much attention to us and leaves things like intonation and such to me, and this drives me mad. I think this is enough for the backstory, and you get the idea of what the kid's like. And holy hell, if you thought the kid was bad, I met the mother. The entitled mother from hell itself. And now, on to Act 1. Our beloved cast for this play: EM, entitled mother, who is a non-musician mother; ED, entitled idiot of a kid; C, Krista, third chair; S, Sarah, second chair; BD, band director; MC, my crush for the lack of a better name; and me, the girl who lived. Act 1. It was Monday before Easter, and one of our final rehearsals before our annual Easter concert. We all just arrived, and our band director explained the seating to us. Since the stage is smaller than our rehearsal room, it's very cramped, and we could never fit 6 people, 1 oboe and 5 flutes, in the first row. So the 4th and 5th chair are moved to the 2nd row. That isn't a problem normally. In comes the entitled mother, who just brought her demon spawn of a child and the quiet girl. They happen to be friends, sadly. I was playing some scales when the mother comes marching up to the stage, seeing her daughter being placed in the 2nd row. "Why is my daughter sitting in the 2nd row?" She looks at me, and I stop playing. "Oh, well, you see, we can't fit 6 people in the 1st row, and flutes with the 2nd part usually sit in the 2nd row when this happens." "But all the flutes were sitting in the front row last year." "Yeah, we were less flutes last year. We were only 4, and we had generally less musicians back then." "This isn't fair. Flutes are always sitting in the front row. This is discriminating." Flutes are not always sitting in the 1st row. In fact, flutes are never sitting in the 1st row apart from our concert band. Normally, the clarinets and the flutes share the 1st row, and only the 1st chair is guaranteed to sit in the 1st row. "Then switch with my daughter." "What? No." "Yeah, you can switch with me. No one will notice anyway." Are you kidding me? I won't switch seats with you. First of all, I play a different part, and second, I need to hear Sarah and Krista so I can intone us. This is not how it works, and now please leave me alone. I want to finish playing my scales. "Just switch parts with my daughter. Why do you have to make everything so complicated? If she plays the 1st part, then you can just go sit in the 2nd row and no one will notice. My daughter deserves it more than you anyway. I bet you can't even play right. I mean, look at you. You teenagers can't do anything right." "Yeah, sure. I've been playing the flute before your daughter was even born. She has absolutely no right to claim my seat, nor my parts. Also, we're 1 week away from our concert. There is no way she'll learn those parts, since she can't even play her own right," which I added in my head. "Of course I can learn them. It's not like your parts are any harder than mine." "My daughter is a genius. She will learn your parts with no problems." "I told you no. You have no right to demand something like that. And now, please go away." Our band director comes up to me and asks me to play a solo part that I have in one of the pieces. Krista and Sarah decided to leave it to me since our band director already scratched my solo piece out of the program. Also, people tend to forget that any solo part means much more work and more responsibility. "What? You get to play a solo part too? This is not fair. You will switch with my daughter right now." What's going on here? My daughter deserves the first chair and she won't give it up. What? No, your daughter deserves no such thing. I have to ask you not to bother any members of our band and leave us to practice. And if you don't stop harassing her, I'm going to ask you to leave the rehearsal right now. And so, we start to practice, but the entitled mother gives me the stink eye. After rehearsal, she grabbed her kid and stormed off. But I feared that this wasn't the end of it. And how right I was. Act 2. Wednesday evening, and I sit on my chair, preparing my flute, when Krista comes up to me and hands me the piccolo that we share. I refuse to play all pieces with piccolo since it damages my hearing, so Krista and I share the instrument. I was chatting with Sarah and Krista when the entitled mother and entitled dad come in. I pay no mind to them and continued preparing my flute and chatting with Krista and Sarah. Then, she comes up to me, demanding I move, since her daughter would now play my parts. Krista and Sarah were as dumbfounded as I was. Who the heck do you think you are? I told you to leave me alone. There is no way your daughter will play my parts. It is not fair that you get to have the first chair, play the best parts, and that other instrument. Give it to my daughter now. Like hell I would. Our band director told you to stop harassing me. And just for your information, first chair means a lot of responsibility. It is natural that I play the first part in every piece, as well as the piccolo, since I was the one entrusted with it. Also, it took me months to master the piccolo, and switching to the regular flute during a concert. Plus, first parts are much harder than the second parts. No, the band director told me that it was fine, that my daughter can play your parts, since she is way better than you, and the people attending will only be pleased since my daughter will show them just how good she is. Krista, to the entitled daughter, goes, "What the heck did you tell your parents?" I only told them the truth. Now, move and give my daughter the little flute, and your flute as well. Since she'll be playing the first parts, she needs a better flute. You won't need it for the parts you'll be playing. She then proceeded to grab my flute out of my hand, but I just snapped. I am very protective of my flute, since I bought it with my own money, and I had to save up for it for years. It's a semi-professional flute, and I paid 2,500 euros for it. Now, I'm normally a very calm person, but I just blew up. You listen here, you keep your dirty mitts to yourself if you want to keep them. And don't even think about touching my flute, else you will instantly regret it. Get lost! At this point, our band director approached us and asked us what the ruckus was about. I told him everything, and he wasn't happy to hear that. He told the entitled mother that she's no longer welcome to stay during rehearsal, and literally threw her out. But you think that was the end of it? Oh no. Act 3. Friday night, last rehearsal before the concert on Sunday. I came in a bit later than usual since I decided to go with my stepfather. He's also in concert band, but I usually go with one of my friends. But I was lazy that afternoon, and so I got a car ride. That proved to be a big mistake. When I came on stage, I immediately saw the entitled daughter sitting in my chair and the entitled mother smiling smugly. I went up to the daughter and told her to get up and move. She just looked at me with a smug smile. Holy hell, the genetics is showing, and told me that she would now have the first chair. She says to me, "I told the band director that you agreed to switch with me, and he said it was okay." Are you stupid or something? I never agreed. Why would I do something like that? And the band director would never be okay with something like that either. There are just 2 more days until our concert, and you can't even play your own parts right. Now move before I make you. The entitled mother started screaming like a banshee. "If you touch my daughter, I will have you arrested for abuse." Woman! I will tell you this one last time. I will not, under any circumstances, switch with your stupid daughter, and now stop harassing me, or else you'll get to know me a little better. No one likes you here anyway. Everyone will be okay if you leave. No one needs you. Yes, I already told everyone in the village that you're just a little binch and a good for nothing. You can't play the flute and you're stupid. Now go and leave. No one needs you here. Oh, you know what? I don't care. There's no way people would believe some crap like that. Even if some here in the village are as dense as could be, no one would believe such an obvious lie. And I will say it again, move your brat and get to your seat and no one gets hurt. Are you threatening to hurt my child? Leave me the freak alone! Then my savior came to my rescue. My crush, MC, just a little reminder, I know this is long, stepped in, and since he had never heard me yell before, he asked what was wrong. The entitled mother saw her chance. She is such a horrible girl. She agreed to let my daughter have the first chair, and now she demands it back. And she stole my daughter's flute and hit her. You're a firefighter, you can restrain her, and I will call the police. My crush just looks at me. I was in obvious shock. I was just about to explain it all to him when he burst out laughing. That's fantastic. Oh my god, you sure deserve an Oscar. Listen up, lady. We all heard you harassing her over the whole week, and there is no way she would ever do what you accuse her of. Do you see all those musicians? We all heard every word. This is her flute. She's had it for nearly a year now, and even Sarah and Krista say that she deserves the first chair because she plays better than all of us here combined. We are a lazy bunch of idiots, but she's super talented and doesn't deserve your crap. And she didn't even touch your child. All she said was that she'll make her move. And this is her right, since your daughter is very obviously sitting on her chair, demanding her parts and her flute as well. Now please get lost. And if I hear that you harass her again, I'll have you restrained while waiting for the police. The entitled mother then proceeded to convince others about what I supposedly did, but of course no one believed her. I mean, they heard and saw everything. How dumb can you be to do that in front of all of the members of our concert band? I thanked my crush, and rehearsal began, but I was already coming up with a plan. I let Sarah, my crush, and Krista know, and they were all up for it. Since the entitled daughter and entitled mum deserved some kind of punishment, we patiently waited for Sunday. Le grand finale. The concert went by. We received lots of applause and stepped off of stage. Krista, Sarah, and I cleaned our flutes. We all just got new ones recently and are very careful with them, so cleaning always takes a while. And we could overhear the entitled daughter whining about having to sit in the second row, playing second parts throughout the whole concert, yada yada yada. Now, the daughter was sitting directly behind me. I should have heard every single note she played, but I didn't hear her at all. She must have been so upset that she decided it wasn't worth playing at all. And this just played right into my hands. We girls then headed out, meeting with our parents, and I gave my mother my stuff since I would celebrate a bit with my friends, and my flute would just get in the way. Then, our band director came up to me and shook my hand, congratulating me on my first concert as a first chair player. Is it called like that? I don't know. He asked me how the leading role for me was, and I answered, it was great. But you know, I didn't hear the daughter at all. I don't think she played a single note today. And may I add that she doesn't give a crap about playing in concert band in general. She never tunes her flute right when I tell her to, and the whole behavior she and her mother put up this week was really annoying. At first, my band director became very pale, before his face reddened very dangerously. He just told me to leave that to him. What my plan was, you might ask? Well, since the entitled daughter wanted the first chair so bad that nothing else was good enough, I wanted to get rid of her. She was going on my nerves even before she joined concert band, and I'm not having it anymore. Sarah, Krista, and my crush have my back, and we all knew that the band director would not take crap like that either. Later in the evening, my crush told me that the entitled mother was talking to the mayor when the band director approached her. He very clearly said that the entitled daughter would be banned from concert band for the next months to think about her unacceptable behavior, and that he didn't want the entitled daughter nor the entitled mother anywhere near me, and if he heard one bad thing, he would take legal actions. My band director threatened to call the police on them for harassing me in front of the mayor. I finally got enough karma to post this story here, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did writing. Edit. Since some of you wanted to know, I helped my crush get back with his ex. So, no happy ending for me in that division, but hey, I got my revenge. And there's an update. Our next story was posted by Gegenwind also, titled, "You want first chair? Well, let's battle for it." A while ago, I made a post about an entitled mother trying to make me give up my first chair in concert band for her entitled daughter. So, I had another very unpleasant encounter with this mother and her daughter, and I promised to share any updates on this, and as many of you wanted, it is my personal revenge on the entitled daughter. Get ready for an epic showdown. Well, you have to at least imagine it. I couldn't take a video, sorry. On Saturday last week, young musicians had the opportunity to earn badges, bronze and silver. Both the entitled daughter and I took an exam each. I did silver and she did bronze. I did not see her there, not that I expected it, since my exam was in the afternoon and hers was at 8 o'clock in the morning or something. Later in the evening, our youth leader approached me and congratulated me for passing with a very good score, and asked me if I knew something about the entitled daughter's grade. I told him I didn't, and he looked at me with a frown. This is what he said to me. "You know, normally, older people competing call me afterwards, but since I know you don't like to call, I thought I'd just ask you now. The entitled daughter's teacher told me over and over again that she would not sign the form needed to enter, but in the end, her mother made her do it. She gave in, so I was very curious if she passed or not." I was skeptical as to why he would tell me that, but I didn't give it any more thoughts and enjoyed my evening. On Wednesday, yesterday to be exact, I went to rehearsal for the concert that we have on Friday. I had my earphones plugged in, which I normally don't do, but the moment I entered the rehearsal room, everyone went quiet immediately. It took me a minute to actually notice and looked up. I asked them why they were staring at me like that when our chairsman approached me and put a hand on my shoulder. Did someone die? Seriously, that was the first thing that came to my mind. No, it's just the entitled mother and entitled daughter here. Why? He sighed really heavily, and everyone else pretended to be really busy, but I know they eavesdropped. Incorrigible gossips. You know, since the entitled daughter passed the exam on Saturday and now has the bronze badge, her mother wanted her to join the concert band again. I know what you want to say, but we don't want to start a war or something like that. They are currently discussing matters with our band director, but I wanted to talk to you first, since they harassed you during the last few rehearsals before the Easter concert. So what do you say? I was never fond of the idea of her joining, and I'm still not happy about how things have been. Earning a badge doesn't naturally make her a better flutist, and much less a better person. But if she's willing to learn and take advice, if someone tells her she's wrong, I'll not make a fuss about it. Thank you so much, Gegenwind. I owe you something. Not really happy about those news. I sat down in my chair and started preparing by playing a piece that was lying around. I did my part with scales. I hate them and never want to play them again. I managed to play 5 notes when our band director, entitled mother, and entitled daughter exit the conference room, and I immediately feel the entitled mother's hateful stare on me. Unfortunately, my 2 friends couldn't make it to rehearsal that day, leaving me completely on my own. Ah, you are already here. I guess you and the chairman did already discuss matters? I just nodded. Well, I tried to reason with those 2 for the last 30 minutes. Listen, entitled mother is convinced that the entitled daughter deserves to play first chair since she did so well in the exam on Saturday, which is a lie, by the way. She barely passed. Don't worry, you don't have to give up your parts nor your chair, but I have to ask you both to play a piece at the end of rehearsal to see who deserves to have the first chair. Is that alright for you? I'm already laughing inside because I know that this will go on Reddit. Of course, no problem. Well, there you have it. My daughter plays so much better than you, and she will prove it later on. I hope you're the one who'll be getting kicked out then. My daughter didn't deserve to be treated like that. Yeah, whatever. Leave me alone. To prevent the entitled mother from harassing me again, the band director told her to go and come back in later to listen to her daughter if she insisted. She left with a smug grin, but I was already done with her bullcrap and just wanted to get this over with. During the rehearsal, she played as bad as usual. It was a tragedy, honestly. My heart hurts when someone mistreats an instrument like that. We also played the piece with my solo part, and she had the audacity to play along. The band director told her off and started over, much to everyone's amusement. After nearly 2 hours of me resisting the urge to strangle the entitled daughter, it was finally over. Just as the band director handed us the sheet we would be playing from, the entitled mother came back with the smuggest look on her face. Alright, who wants to begin? I think MxxN Wind should begin, since she thinks she can beat the entitled daughter. So my dear daughter can show everyone just how amazing she is in comparison to you. If that's what you want. So I start playing. The piece was not particularly hard, and I've played it before a few times, but the part for solo flute is very tricky if you don't know how to play certain notes. And don't ask me what it's called, the title was cut off and I honestly don't remember the composer. But overall, it is a regular silver leveled piece, and that level is required as a first chair player. Yes, I did make my silver badge only last week, but I proved my skills and everyone was okay with me being first chair. After I finished, it was the entitled daughter's turn. But before she could start, the entitled mother demanded my flute, again. You should let my daughter play on your flute to make it fair. What? No. But your flute is a better one and has a better sound. If she plays with her one, she'll sound less good, and that would be unfair. Give her your flute. I told you once and I'll tell you again, keep your hands off my flute. Buy her a better one if you think that's the problem, and if you try to grab for it, I will hurt you. I kept my flute in my hands and glared at the entitled mother, and before she could say anything else, the band director told the entitled daughter to start playing. And what shall I say? I wished I recorded that. Those were the most embarrassing 5 minutes in my entire life. The entitled daughter made a complete and utter fool of herself, trying to finger her way through all of those parts, not managing to get a single note right. She was completely out of tune as always. She missed the B flat all the time, playing B instead, and she ruined the solo part like a champion. Really, it requires skill to mess up like that. After she ended, her mother jumped from her chair and ran to her daughter. My baby was just nervous. She plays much better when she isn't put in a situation like that. This wasn't nervousness. She just proved that she doesn't belong in concert band. Internally, I was like, she just proved that she should never touch a flute again. The entitled mother starts whining like a 5-year-old. This is not fair. They were not playing under the same conditions. My daughter is a much better player than she, and then she points at me, than she is. I demanded that my daughter gets the first chair immediately. The band director is like 100% done with her and goes, of course they were not playing under the same conditions. MxxN Wind is double her age and has so much more experience. There's a reason why she has the silver badge now. Please, just leave and never ask for her to come back. We've heard everything we needed, and don't ever harass MxxN Wind again. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I got rid of the entitled daughter. Our next story was posted by user Invest3, titled, Mum gets mad at me for trying to watch what I paid for. So a little backstory. I went to this play for my school, which I didn't really want to go for, but it turned out good. I was with my friends in the auditorium watching the play, and after intermission, basically halftime for plays, everyone went to get snacks and water. The play resumed, and all I heard was the plastic of a water bottle crinkling. I look behind me and see a kid twisting a water bottle. Our car star, K, kid, me, EM, entitled mum, and ES, embarrassing sibling. Hey, could you please stop that wrinkling? It's really annoying me and my friends. She's a little kid, let her do what she wants. I was already in a bad mood, so this was really annoying me. I paid to watch a play, not to listen to plastic getting twisted. I don't like your attitude. I'm not giving you attitude, I'm just pointing out something that I'm sure other people are annoyed by. Bullcrap, no one else cares. Swearing in front of your kids isn't setting an example. Mom, stop! She ignores her daughter and goes, "Don't tell me how to raise my kids!" At this point, a lot of people are looking, and the kid is still twisting the water bottle. Please just tell your kid to stop. The water bottle's cap explodes off and hits me in the neck. So I pick it up and throw it at the kid. Did you just hurt my son? If you count the pain of a raindrop hitting him, yes. After the explosion of the water bottle, even the people performing are looking at us, forgetting their lines. As is normal, the kid starts crying. Now he's crying! Oh my god, I'm so sorry, honey. It's all because of this ungrateful teen. The play finally ended, and the embarrassed sibling is cringing in her seat. I ended up leaving without another word, but then I saw her at a coffee shop. You know what she did? She took the cap off of her drink and threw it at me. I just laughed it off. Our next story was posted by user Thunderbow98, titled, Entitled Dad Thinks He and His Son's Group of 15 plus kids can take over an entire row of prepaid movie seats. This happened yesterday. I went to the Avengers Endgame premiere at the local mall. Before then, I, along with many dedicated Marvel fans, pre-ordered our tickets weeks ago on Fandango. I managed to order tickets within the first 10 minutes of the sales opening, so I got some of the best seats in the house, middle of the row, in the middle of the theatre. I was stoked. A worthy investment and a fun date night to be had with my girlfriend. We arrive at the theatre a few minutes before the previews roll, and as expected, it's already packed. We manage to navigate to our row and start snaking past seated moviegoers to get our seats. Enter Entitled Kid 1 through 15. We're looking at the seat numbers and find Entitled Kid 1 and 2 are in our chairs. I politely ask them to get up. Hey man, it looks like you're in our seats. We pre-ordered the tickets, and I showed Entitled Kids 1 and 2 my phone. Reluctantly, they apologize and agree to get up and move, but not before the entire row of 12 to 14-year-old kids start to shift around nervously. Entitled Kid 1 and 2 see some empty seats behind ours, so they hop up and climb over the seat backs to sit down. Not even 10 seconds later, a guy in his mid-20s, his girlfriend, and a few other guys start shuffling into our row. Instinctively, Entitled Kid 3 through 8 bolt out of the seats and scatter around the theatre. Enter Entitled Dad. He motions the row below us to stand up as well. Entitled Dad and Entitled Kids 9 through 15 all stand up and scatter with Entitled Kids 1 to 8. Now, everyone else is starting to look around at these kids, because it's very clear they don't belong here. They're climbing over everyone, trying to take seats wherever they can find them. I turn to the guy sitting next to me and talking to each other, wondering where security is. Sure enough, there's a guard at the bottom of the theatre by the entrance, and when he sees the commotion and seat exchanging, he immediately recognizes something is up. At this point, the Entitled Dad and Entitled Kids 1 through 15 are scattered throughout the theatre, and as more people show up to claim their rightfully paid seats, more entitled kids become displaced and scamper around trying to avoid being grabbed by security, which at this point our main guy has called for backup and has 3 other guards zeroing in on these kids. 2 entitled kids get cornered by security and the guards start interrogating them. So where are your tickets? Oh, they're on our phones, we prepaid. The guards aren't having any of their BS. They know these kids didn't pay. Well, let's see them. Dang it, I can't find the confirmation email anywhere. Hey, Entitled Kid 2, don't you have them somewhere? Yeah, hang on, let me find it. He fumbles for his phone, only to pull it out and exclaim that his phone died and he can't pull up the tickets. But you gotta believe me, we paid for them like last week. Okay, so you're gonna have to come with us. Now the entitled dad steps in. He climbs over seated people to hurry over to where the guards are talking to the entitled kids, and goes, "What can I do for you, gentlemen? I assume these are your kids. They don't have their movie tickets on them, and claim they paid to see this movie. Look man, these are my sons and their friends. They just wanted to see the movie like everyone else. You can only see the movie if you paid for the tickets. You are knowingly taking what other people prepaid for. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave." Man, this is a kids movie. Can we just let them have fun? Look at them. They're not doing anything wrong. Another group of moviegoers arrive and ask more entitled kids to get up. Now they all know they're caught, so they are nervous to respond. They sit there pretending to not know the group is addressing them. At this point, everyone in the theater is starting to demand these entitled kids and the entitled dad leave the showing, as they're disrupting the theater and preventing others from sitting where they paid for. "We're not gonna ask you again. Take your dang kids out of this theater and pay for endgame tickets like everyone else." The entitled dad, realizing he's outmatched 4-1 and almost all of the entitled kids in his group have been displaced, are just standing around, signals for them to follow him out of the theater. The entitled dad to the kids says, "I tried guys. These dang nerds don't know how to let kids enjoy themselves and have fun. Bunch of selfish jerks." The guards escorted the entire cluster freak of kids out of the theater just as the lights dimmed and the movie started rolling. Everyone cheered for both the guards doing their duty and the start of what was an incredible movie.